Welcome back to the record player, everybody. Today we're joined all the way from sunny California by a young singer-songwriter who is piling up the streams with his latest single, "Back in Place." Very happy to have Magnus Ferrell with us today in the record player. How you doing, Magnus?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem at all. I say sunny California because to us here in Toronto, we are buried under snow right now. So to us, California is always sunny. It's always beautiful there. What's the
Oh
weather?
yeah,
What's the weather like? Does it ever rain or snow in Cal? Anything
it's
in California?
funny. It was actually like it's been kind of stormy the last couple of weeks, and that never usually happens. Although January, I would say like if there's going to be rain at all, that's when it happens, January, February. But yeah, it's always pretty sunny, and you can pretty much count on the sun being there. And it's weird to see rain. You'd be surprised to see rain when you wake up, but yeah, most part all sun.
We always complain about the snow here. My sister lives in San Jose now, and just down the street from the Sharks arena. And she texts me and says that she misses the snow, and I'm like, "You're out of your mind. How do you miss the snow? We kill to get out of
Well,
here."
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I actually enjoy it when it rains because it's so sunny all the time. Yeah, it's funny. I enjoy extreme weather in some ways.
Wow. So I mean, you're not even 20 years old yet, and you've still got plenty of time to do so many things that you want to do. When did you realize that you wanted to be a musician? When was it that you said this is what I want to do?
I was about, I think I must have been about 15 or 16 when I realized, whenever it was in quarantine, um, I like really started to dig deep because I was in my room, I had nothing to do, and I just started kind of gravitating to stuff that would help pass the time. And honestly, the things that, brought me the most kind of joy and the most happiness in like a dark time. So, and that ended up being music. And so I started writing a lot of stuff and writing about my feelings and trying to, you know, create something cool. Um, and I can't say that they were all great songs that I wrote, but I can definitely say they helped me practice and they helped me like develop something that I have now today, which is awesome. So yeah, from a pretty young age, I realized.
That's good. Having parents that are both actors, and did they ever put any pressure on you to get into? And I know you did a few movies when you were younger, but did they ever put any pressure onto you to get into that rather than get into music, or were they the type of people who said, "We don't want you anywhere near this business"?
No, they absolutely, I am so grateful for the way they introduced me to things because they put absolutely no pressure on me at all, which is so much fun. Um, that being said, they would like say, they would ask me what exactly I wanted to do. And whenever I was interested in something, they'd always want me to put like 100% of my effort and they always asked like if that's what I wanted to do, and if that was what I wanted to do, they just asked that I put 100% effort into everything, and that's a lot. Like that's kind of how I figured out things I didn't like, because if I didn't like putting 100% effort into something, I knew okay, that's maybe not for me. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like performance stuff has run through the family. Obviously, my dad's dad, my grandfather, he is a saxophone player.
I was going to say with your
Yeah.
grandfather, this goes for much further back because I mean we
Yeah.
all, we all know your dad can play drums and a mean cowbell, but your grandfather, uh, he played with Righteous Brothers and
Yeah.
like some pretty serious stuff. That's like musical royalty back.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to get to have that. And my mom also played in a band in college, and she said she
Wow.
played at the Troubadour and stuff, just like
Oh,
fun little things, which is awesome. And I don't know, I'm also grateful. Actually, the one thing I will say, the one little moment of pressure I had was when I was 5 years old. My mom forced me to play an instrument and told me I couldn't quit until I was 18. And I hated it so much when I was little. But then after a certain point, it like flipped. And I remember I had a moment where it clicked and I was like, oh my God, I really like this. And so for that, I'm so grateful that I got into piano or that my mom told me to play an instrument and that I could quit when I was 18, because by the time I turned 18, I wanted to just keep doing it, and that's exactly what I want to do with my life. So that's, yeah, that's pretty much
Well,
that.
consider yourself lucky, because my dad made my sisters and I all learn an instrument, so that because he said you have to have a skill, but
Yeah,
he was in a pipe band. We're Scottish, so it wound up being my sister learning how to play bagpipes. So don't don't feel
that's
bad that
really
you were
cool.
forced to learn how to play piano. Um,
Yeah.
for anyone who's not familiar with you or your music, that haven't heard it, how would you describe your music to them?
Yeah, so I would say the first real foundation I really started with, I started learning jazz when I was 12. Before that, I had an awesome piano teacher who kind of taught me. Literally, I would be playing classical piano, and then the next day we would learn a Bob Marley song, and like she gave me such an awesome overview. And then when I moved on to my next teacher, I um uh, I started learning jazz, and it was really good for me to learn that because it helped build a foundation for just my music theory and my music knowledge. And I knew I didn't exactly want to become a jazz pianist, although I loved it. Um, it just helped me open up the world to so many different genres, and just because jazz is pretty hard,
Well,
and
yeah.
learning
Quite
that
hard.
kind of gave me, yeah, it gave me powers to do and explore other genres. And so, in long story long, I guess my genre now is pop, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's like the super commercial kind of pop that people might roll their eyes at. It's the pop that is a little bit more interesting and has a little bit more um, theory and thought behind it. A little bit more jazz thought. I wouldn't say it's super jazzy, but
But you can hear
I
that
definitely,
influence. You can certainly hear
yeah,
that
I
influence.
definitely try and make it more interesting than just the super standard like four major chord song, if that makes sense.
Nope, 100%. I read somewhere that somebody compared your music to early Daft Punk. Um, I, I never heard that. I don't hear that. I don't know if you've heard of a band called Phoenix. They're a French band called Phoenix, um, or even early Maroon Five when they were good. Their first album. Or I hear that kind of an influence. How are you with comparisons? I mean, what is it that influenced you when you were listening to music as a kid, and kind of getting ready yourself to start writing?
Yeah, I had this like complex where I didn't want to listen to anything anybody else was listening to. I did not want to listen to what was popular. Just, I don't know, I wanted to be cool like that or whatever. But yeah, I also kept trying to have a massive influence on artists and songs where I was like, man, I really can tell that they put a lot of work into the chord structure, because I feel like a lot of music today is like auto tuning somebody's voice and just putting drums and like an 808. And I kind of find that, I don't know, I don't like that much, because I feel like it takes away from what music was like made to do. I could be wrong, you know, that's just my
Oh,
opinion. But yeah, I listen to this guy Bruno Major. I really love his stuff. Is really kind of jazzy, but at the same time, it's kind of alternative as well. And he found a sound where it's jazzy and almost poppy. And then I love Still Woozy, he's awesome, and Mac Ayres too. All guys where I'm like, yeah, I can really hear the melodic and time that was put into this song to make it sound awesome. And I don't know, it's just great. So.
as a writer, do you have to be in a certain frame of mind to write? Do you have to be in a place, or are you the type of writer who sees something and says, "Okay, I got to start," and you start writing things down and go on with it?
You know, it definitely helps to be in an emotional place, but sometimes you don't have that opportunity. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you walk into a session and man, you're not really feeling any type of way, and that's okay. And you kind of got to figure out what you got to write about, and like your feelings aren't on a schedule. So sometimes I go into a session and I'm feeling super happy and I can write a super happy song and it's awesome. But one thing that keeps me grounded, regardless of how I'm feeling, is like just to start with a concept and an idea and really try and communicate that through the music and through the writing. So yeah.
You played a benefit show
Yeah.
in last month before Christmas.
Mhm.
It was your first big, probably big show, right? Big. I don't know if it was it in a arena or was it in a club or?
No, it was at this place called the Music Box in San Diego, and it's this really awesome like three-story. The stage is kind of right at the back, and it's like this literal. It's a literal like box, and there's like three stories. You got like people right here, then you got people up here on the sides, and you got people up top, and it's just like it's an awesome venue, and it was so amazing to get to play that, and especially for like a good cause too, Cancer
Yeah, it
for
was a
College.
charity event, right? You got to play
Yeah,
with. It impressed me as an old guy. Psychedelic Furs. They were the
yeah,
go, right? Um,
legendary.
what was that like playing with a band of that stature? I mean, they've been around forever. They're
Yeah, opening for them, it was like pretty like wow, this is like kind of real. It felt like a moment. It just felt like one of those big like stepping stones moment, if that makes sense.
yeah.
And yeah, I really like I made sure to try and cater to that audience because I will admit that is not necessarily the audience that is my target audience. Um, so I tried, I added in like a cover of Creep and it was just so much fun. And I tried to talk a little bit to the audience and you know, it was like 800 people. It was the most I'd ever played for. And it was pretty surreal. But at the same time, it felt right. You know, it felt like this is what I should be doing, and it just kind of confirmed that I really want this. And yeah, no, it was awesome.
Have you compiled a wish list of people that you'd love to work with? I mean, is there somebody that down the road when you've established yourself a little bit more that you'd like to call up and say, would you like to work with me? I mean, you probably
Yeah,
got a million. Everybody's got a bucket list, right? But
yeah. I mean, a wish list, man. I'd really love to get into a room with like Still Woozy. I think he's so awesome, and I feel like we connect because I don't know. A big thing for me is I've written and talked to and been in sessions with people who are awesome and have sick music, but sometimes it just doesn't click as like people. And so I've met a lot of people where I'm like, I really love you as a person. I really love your music, but like just the way we write, it just doesn't, it just doesn't function. And that's there's nothing wrong with that. Um, that's okay. So it's honestly hard to say because you really need to get into the room and get to know the person first, and then get to understand like how their brain works, and if that almost is compatible with how you work. Because I think
have you done a lot of writing with other people, or have you done most of your writing on your own?
yeah, I started out pretty much on my own, but I've written a lot with my roommate now, and we've been friends since high school, and he's an awesome producer, and that's who like I said, that's who I really click with, and like I'm so open to writing with anybody, but in particular, I've really clicked with my roommate and producer as well. So
Are there any plans to do like what's coming next? What happens with Magnus Ferrell now? Are into
yeah,
2023? Are we putting together some kind of a record? Are you ready to go out and play some more shows? What's coming up?
I want to play a lot of shows. I've got a show coming up in March. The date hasn't exactly been figured out, but it's me and a bunch of other artists are going to play at the Troubadour, and it's going to be so much fun. I've also am planning on releasing a single this next month. I think early March, late February. So I'm going to sort that out, and then along the line, I really am hoping to kind of get an EP out at some point this year at least. Um, but yeah, so it's exciting. More exciting things to come.
Well, great. I wish you the best. I mean, it's when I saw that on the clips from the show last month online, you sounded fantastic.
Thank
And
you.
course, I went in and I started looking at your stuff on Apple Music and downloaded some stuff. It really is. It's quite awesome, and I wish you the best. And I hope we do get an EP down the road. If you
Yeah,
do decide to tour, I hope you decide to come here to Toronto.
definitely. Toronto's awesome.
Have you been here?
When I was really little, I saw some photos and I've always wanted to come back. I'm also like kind of a basketball fan, so I like watching a lot of basketball. And then also like when the Raptors went and won their championship, like that was crazy. And we were rooting for them because Golden State was always winning. So
We were in
yeah,
heaven here, trust me. Those
yeah,
it's passed a little bit now. They're not having a great season. But anyway, I wish you the absolute best, Magnus. Thanks for being with us in the record player, and we hope to catch up with you down the road.
awesome.
Take care.
You too.